Last episode, 3 mega deals: CSPC and AstraZeneca, Hengrui and BMS, Innovent and Pfizer. Over $44 billion in potential value in 5 months. The story was clear. Chinese biotechs have the molecules. The capital pathway determines the price. Position in the capital pathway decides the return. I ended with a question. What happens when position isn't just where you sit, when position becomes the asset itself? Today, that question, when control of a gate matters more than ownership of a product. SOEs buying innovation in China's healthcare sector. I've spent a decade watching capital flow through Chinese markets. The pattern is consistent. The best technology doesn't always win. The company that controls how that technology reaches the market extracts the most value. We saw it in licensing. We saw it in exit pathways. Now something new. The buyers aren't just MNCs. They're state-owned enterprises. And they're not buying molecules. They're buying positions. ASCO 2026 made the capability clear. 94 oral presentations from Chinese teams, 12 late-breaking abstracts, a record. China now accounts for nearly 30% of the global R&D pipeline, second only to the US. The science is not the question. The pathway is. Consider the domestic ceiling. A drug that sells 3 billion RMB domestically, roughly $400 million, is a blockbuster in China. The same drug globally can generate $30 billion in lifetime revenue. Not 2 or 3 times, 70 to 80 times. That ceiling exists because of how drugs get priced and reimbursed. National reimbursement list, centralized procurement, volume-based pricing. These are the gates. The gate sets the price. Speed doesn't solve the ceiling problem. You can run faster, but the room is the same size. That's why biotechs license out. Molecules go global through MNCs. Capital comes back through upfront payments. But something else is happening, a different kind of buyer. They don't have global networks. They have the gate. June 2026. Sinopharm. China's largest state-owned pharma group announced a 1.654 billion RMB acquisition of a 20% stake in AmoyDx, the country's leading companion diagnostics company, largest shareholder, effective control. Not a one-off. Sinopharm's third major A-share acquisition in 12 months. Before AmoyDx, 4.7 billion RMB for a controlling stake in Pailing Bio, a blood products company. Before that, 3.235 billion RMB to take control of Shandong Pharmaceutical Glass through a directed share issuance, still pending regulatory approval. 3 deals, nearly 10 billion RMB, 1 year. Look at what Sinopharm is buying. Not a single innovative drug candidate. A diagnostics platform with dozens of NMPA Class 3 certificates across multiple cancer types. A blood products company with scarce manufacturing licenses. A pharmaceutical packaging company at a supply choke point. AmoyDx is the clearest gate play. Companion diagnostics determine which patients get which drugs, control the diagnostic, influence the treatment decision. AmoyDx's products are already used by AstraZeneca and Hengrui. Gross margin exceeds 80%. Sinopharm didn't buy a product. It bought the gate that determines which products get used. The synergy makes it work. Sinopharm's distribution network covers over 700,000 hospital, pharmacy, and clinic terminals. AmoyDx has struggled with hospital access. Sinopharm solves that overnight. Gate and technology combine into something neither could be alone. Sinopharm's chairman explicitly named acquisition as a strategic priority. Fill gaps in the full healthcare value chain. 3 acquisitions. 3 choke points. Diagnosis, blood products, packaging. Buy the gate. Let the molecules flow through. Sino Biopharmaceutical, one of China's largest domestic pharma companies, acquired Lenovo Medicines for up to $951 million in July 2025. Net payment approximately $500 million. Lenovo was the quintessential license-out success. Cumulative out-licensing value, nearly $4 billion. 2 registration stage programs. A proven platform. Why buy the whole company instead of licensing a single asset? Because Lenovo's platform ADC and bispecific antibody capabilities is a gate. One product generates one revenue stream. A platform generates a pipeline. A pipeline with MNC validation commands premium pricing in any future deal. January 2026. Sino Biopharmaceutical acquired Heqia Pharma, an siRNA platform, for 1.2 billion RMB, 2 acquisitions, 2 platforms, 2 gates. Fosun Pharma invested 220 million RMB in Hepatera, a liver disease biotech, becoming second largest shareholder, not buying the drug. Buying a position and an option on the hepatitis B treatment gate. 3 reasons the gates are more valuable than the products. Scale. China's hospital system sees over 10 billion patient visits per year. Any product that gets onto the reimbursement list and procurement catalog is virtually guaranteed volume. The gate is the bottleneck. Once through, scale is automatic. Pricing. Volume-based procurement compresses drug prices 50 to over 90%. The government sets the price, the company does not. The only way to maintain pricing power is to control something upstream. A diagnostic that determines who gets the drug, a distribution network that determines how it reaches the hospital, or a scarce manufacturing license that limits who can produce it. Policy. SOEs have a structural advantage, implicit government backing, low-cost capital, faster regulatory approvals, a mandate for domestic self-sufficiency. When Sinopharm acquires AmoyDx, it's not just commercial, it's ensuring critical capabilities stay in domestic hands. A Morrison Foerster partner put it plainly. Many Chinese biotechs are no longer desperate for cash, stronger negotiating position. But the flip side, the domestic buyers who control the gates are in an even stronger position. They don't negotiate for molecules, they negotiate for access. And access is what biotechs lack. The position paradox. World-class molecules. Enormous market. But the pathway from molecule to revenue runs through gates controlled by others. The best drug doesn't capture the most value. The gate controller does. The gate logic applies cross-border too. That pathway is getting squeezed. Biosecure became law in December 2025. Section 809 gives the executive branch authority to add new industries without new legislation. The Coins Act covers semiconductors, AI, and quantum, not biotech yet. But Section 809 can add it. The possibility reshapes behavior. The FDA has signaled that clinical data generated entirely in China may face additional scrutiny. The data gate is narrowing. 3 lines. Policy, regulation, data. Squeezing the same pipe, all moving in the same direction. How are biotechs responding? They front-load value. Average upfront payments in China-related licensing deals rose 36% in H1 2026, from $123 million to $167 million. Some accept royalty floors as low as 2 to 3%. More money now, more concessions later, because the later pathway is uncertain. Lock in the front end, trade optionality for certainty. Same logic as the SOE acquisitions. Sinopharm buys the gas scurry than building it. Biotechs front load because tomorrow's pathway is less certain than today's. Pathway determines price. When the pathway narrows, gate control gets more expensive. Last episode, Keymed licensed 2 assets to a NewCo called Ouro for $16 million upfront and 15% equity. 16 months later, Gilead acquired Ouro for up to $2.175 billion. Keymed's take, approximately $320 million plus $6.1 billion in potential milestones, 16 million in, billions out. That deal wasn't about the molecules. The return was determined by the structure. The NewCo sat at a position in the capital pathway between Chinese innovation and global commercialization that allowed pricing neither side could achieve alone. Position, not capability, not ownership. Position. This connects the SOE acquisitions to the licensing deals to the NewCo structures. Same insight. The gate counts more than the product. Position determines return. When the gate is scarce, hospital access, reimbursement lists, procurement channels position becomes the asset itself. Sinopharm doesn't need to discover the next breakthrough. It controls the gate through which every breakthrough reaches Chinese patients. Sino Biopharmaceutical doesn't need a global network from scratch. It owns platforms validated by MNCs. Every future deal flows through its gates. Capability gets attention. Position decides return. That's not a slogan, that's a capital structure reality. And the gap between capability and position has never been wider. 3 questions when evaluating any China healthcare deal. 1. Who controls the gate? Not who owns the drug. Who controls how it reaches the patient? The gate controller captures value. The drug owner hopes for it. 2. Is the buyer buying a product or a position? Sinopharm buying AmoyDx is a position play. A foreign pharma licensing a single asset is a product play. Position plays compound. Product plays expire. 3. What happens to the gate if the pathway changes? Coins expansion, FDA scrutiny. These reprice the gate, they don't destroy it. A company that controls a domestic gate has a value floor a licensing deal alone can't provide.
The disconnect series exists valuation licensing. This was positioned as the asset. Same framework. The gate counts more than the product. Position determines return. That's the episode. Embodied AI. When a robot on a factory floor becomes worth more than a robot on the benchmark. Same logical, different industry. The deployment disconnect. Subscribe and hit the bell. What gate should we look at next? Drop it in the comments. This is China Alpha Hunter, and see you next time.